And welcome to the super fun, awesome, happy time. Wouldn't it be great if there was sort of an engine that you can make a difference with?
Oh, your heart.
Pedal show. My name is Gabor.
Hey, welcome along. I'm Alex. We're going to check out the Difference engine today. This is by Black Country Customs and Laney.
Yeah, Laney. And big thank you to Laney Australia for sending this out to us. So this is what you would call a sponsored video.
Please hit like and subscribe on the channel. Give us a thumbs up. All that good stuff. And it'll be awesome. So yeah. Pre-tell. What's
the Difference engine. So
what's going on?
It's basically a delay.
Yo.
See you later. No, so it's basically a delay, but it's sort of channeling three different types of delays. So I'm going to use my little cheat sheet here.
Three?
Yes.
Bloody hell.
So they're looking at the analog tape era. Looking at all tape echoes kind of things, right? So that's one of the three different types of delays you have. With delay times up to 1,250 milliseconds or 1.25 seconds. You also have the digital era, which is sort of reminiscent of digital rack mounts from the 80s, such as the Korg SDD3000, like the Edge style delay.
Sure.
And then also looking at, going into the 90s and 2000s, the dynamic delay era, specifically the 2290 by DC Electronics, where you have things like ducking and stuff like that as well. Cool. So basically it's those three delays in one, in a relatively easy to use package, with MIDI as well,
bargain,
and an expression pedal input.
Why would you not want it?
Stereo in, stereo out.
It's got this cool blue pattern thing.
Yes, and it looks kind of cool.
Yeah. Anyway, to hear the thing, we're going into an Apollo over there, UAD, with some amp sims, stereo left to right the same, so you can hear it in glorious stereo.
And just it's exactly the same on both sides, so you don't use two different amps, and it sounds a little bit different, so it's exactly the same on both sides. And the clean sound sounds actually. Okay. Let's check it out, right? Let's look at the knobs and controls and all that sort of stuff. So basically, you have a nice screen up here, which if you push buttons and stuff, it gets brighter at times. Anyway, let's just not worry about it at the moment. You have the dog making funny noises. You basically have those four controls. You have color, you have mix, you have tone, and you have repeats. They're always active, doesn't matter where you are in this. Now the screen is brighter. And as you move it, you can see quite a big display. It shows in percentage where you are, right? Wow. You have a menu and a mode button. The mode goes between live mode, which is the one we're in now, or preset mode. So live mode, basically, this becomes an on-off switch. And this becomes a tap function or a freeze function, right? Chilly. If you push the mode button, you go to presets, then you basically bank up with this, and you bank down with that.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. This shows you the preset name, and where you are in the presets. We're starting on preset number 50, because preset 1 to 49 are mono.
Boring.
And we're doing this in stereo. So I think the idea behind it is that a lot of people just go straight into an amp.
Yeah.
That way it's just set up for mono, a lot of the presets, but there's a bunch of stereo presets on here as well. Then you have this edit control. Now the edit control, basically, at the moment, if you like this, it changes the time. Now by pushing the edit control, you see that little line that moves.
Yeah.
So if the little line is under the zeros, you can change it by 1 millisecond. If you move it to this, you can change it by 10 milliseconds at a time.
Right.
If you move to this, the 100 milliseconds. If you move to this, the 1,000 milliseconds. So you can do massively quick changes, right?
So if you want to sync it to say a recording session on a computer, DAW, you can match the milliseconds.
And yeah, you can. So let's go back. So we're back to, it was 110 milliseconds. So the first preset, right? Then lastly, you have the menu button. So if you push menu, you now go into where you can assign things. So again, this becomes now your button to push. So you go to edit mode. There you can change whether you have which one you have your digital. So you can have digital, analog, and dynamic. Pressing mode, I think, goes back one. You can change the time. You can change. You can have multi-heads, so kind of like with an analog delay, like a tape delay, where you have multiple heads. You can go to multi-tap delay stuff. This is sort of it's just an overlook of of overview of what that particular preset is. You also have compression that you can turn on and off. You have modulation. You have depth and rate, which you can go into there for each preset. You have, in this case, it's not enabled. You have compression, and you also have a noise gate. You can have one in here. Cool. Now you also have in here, you have a routing that goes from preset to preset, right? Up the top, you have a routing mode. So if you click on that, it actually shows you what the routing mode is. So this is like a crossfade one. So it kind of goes back and forth between left and right. But you can also go to a ping pong style delay, a mono delay, a wet dry. So you can actually hook it up with wet, dry, wet. So you can have a setting that you can see if you have a wet, dry, wet system, you can hook it up for that as well. Or just standard stereo, right?
Cool.
And then you can assign how much dry goes into the left, into the right, how much you can get quite into it. You can also change the phase of your left and your right. So if you want out of phase kind of stuff, or if your amps go out of phase, if you use 2 amps, you can change the phase for that as well. Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. But and then I should also you can go into your preset. You can change the name of the preset. You can copy it and put it to a different location and all that sort of stuff. You can go into your settings where you have, for example, things like global settings. Where you can have global routing. So if you only use it as a wet, dry, wet thing, you don't want any of the other routing options, you can set it to that. You can also set what the freeze toggle is. So that do you want the freeze toggle to be on or off? We set to on, because so you have the freeze toggle there. You can set trails on or off, all that sort of stuff. It also gives you different versions. So I'm guessing via MIDI you can connect it and change firmware updates, and you can also do a complete reset on everything, and your MIDI options. So you can change your MIDI options if you use it with MIDI. And I believe all the controls that you have on here are accessible via MIDI.
Yeah, cool. Very good.
So not just going through presets, but you can change any of the parameters with expression and all that stuff via MIDI. Okay, let's go back into preset mode and go to 51 and back to 50, so it's back to where it was set before. Okay. So one of the things you've got to watch out for, to turn it off, you have to be in live mode. If you're in preset mode, it doesn't work. So in live mode, turn it on. Now we can go back to preset mode. So should we check it out again? Live mode, clean sounds. With a slapback, you don't want that many repeats. So basically you have access to those 4 tone. Color is basically the modulation. So if you turn it right down, you have no modulation. There's modulation there.
Vibrato type flutter.
You can then go into your menu and you can edit, and you can go into here, for example, you can go into modulation and you can assign a depth and a rate. So if you don't want it to be as fluttery,
it's pretty fast, isn't it? Yeah.
It's pretty fast. So we can go, see, and this is the same here. You can set it, go by 10s, by 20s. Cool. So you can make it a slightly less fluttery modulation. It's a slapback, so you don't want that much modulation. Let's look at a few of the presets, basically, and then we'll go into it a little bit more. So this now, that first one was a digital delay. We're now going into the world, 51, we're going into the world of dynamic. So this is a psychoacoustic dual delay. So they're set at the moment both 500 milliseconds.
Should we set up the mix a bit so we can hear that effect?
Okay.
Slightly more.
Yeah, hang on. Let's go back up. Mix. Okay. And you can really hear the ducking. So as you're playing, it's much quieter. So this is where the dynamic delay. And again, you can go into the menu. And this is where dynamics. So for example, you can go into here. You can assign the threshold, the attack, how quickly it comes, how quickly it goes. Dog is making cameras shake. You can assign the ducking. You can change the ducking. But I mean,
how many ducks you want?
How many ducks you want? So this, let's go to different presets. So this dynamic. Let's find one. This is digital again. Digital. Leslie delay. I don't know. Sorry, Leslie delay. It's an analog one. Table tennis. I don't know. Let's go through a few of the presets.
Table tennis.
So now you've got ones with two different settings, left and right. This is another one, Siren Stereo. Yeah. But now, for example, let's check out the difference between the three different delays. So let's just leave it at that setting, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So let's go into here. This is digital. Let's listen to dynamic. Now, if you go to analog, one of the things you've got to do when you go into analog, it took me a little while to work that out. If you go into time, you actually got to turn the heads on and off. Because if you don't have the heads on, you don't hear any repeats. So we've got to enable the, we're going to turn the head on, and then we also give it some level, because without level, you're not going to get any level. Okay.
Nice tone, isn't it?
Did you, it sounds great, but yeah, you got to go into the, if you're switching from digital to analog, you got to go into the time, and you got to turn on the head. So you have 3 different heads. You got to first turn it on, and then you got to make sure you also have level. So this is 100% level. And also, I just noticed we're in mono again now, because again, also if you're going between them, you just got to set it up. So you got to go into here to your routing mode. Okay, so here we set up the different. You have the different modes, so we can set it up to be stereo.
Yep.
Actually, did I set it to? What was I? Sorry, wrong button. Maybe that needs to be on left and right input mode. Is it in stereo now? No, we're only going into left input mode. But yes, in here, so we got stereo mode. So let's try it a different mode. So this is stereo mode at the moment, straight stereo mode. So this is kind of the crossfade kind of mode where it kind of goes, it kind of pans left and right.
Sure.
Then you've got ping pong. But we're not wet dry, so it doesn't really matter. And then back to stereo. I think that's kind of cool, though, the crossfadey kind of one.
Yeah, cool.
And then again, you can change. I mean, you can go really deep if you really wanted to. You can select how much dry signal you want, your phase. You can change your phase and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, that's basically that.
Should we hear the compression and see what that does to you?
Hear the compression? Okay, let's do compression. Let's go into that. So we need to turn it on.
Yo.
And then, do you want a noise gate as well?
No.
No. Okay, so do you want any boost?
No.
No? What's the threshold?
-20.
-20? Okay, let's see what that does. It makes it louder.
Makes it louder. It makes it loud.
Yeah, turn the mix down. That's that. And then, I mean, if you want to now save it as a preset, you can save it to whatever preset number you want to save it to.
63.
Alien Guitar Spark, Dream Sequence. Is there one that... Default patch. There you go.
Default.
Let's save it to 70.
Yep.
Let's call it... What do you want to call it?
Steve.
This could take a while. What about... Cafold patch. And then we're saving. Saved. Okay. So now it's Cafold patch.
Excellent.
That's the name of our... I mean, you can give it whatever name you want to give it to, but yeah, I mean, that's basically it. And then you have all different... I mean, Panscape. Let's have a look at a couple more presets and then call it a day.
PCM. I've got a PCM we could have this do one day.
Let me have a go and you play around with it.
Would you like to have a go?
So I'm going to use my VanderCaster. This is relatively new, if you haven't... Well, probably very new. It's a Vander guitars body. Big thank you to Dave. And all carven or Kiesel now neck. some fantastic, from all over New Zealand, Mr. Glynn pickups, and a Vega trem. Yes, and I'm using the neck pickup, and it sounds suchly. So you're changing the delay time now with this.
Okay.
If you want to go a different patch, it's these. That's the Alien guitar speak. There's nothing after because it's default. I mean, we can go back to the start basically, but then they're mono.
It's okay.
Okay, well, let's check out preset 1. So that's Larry B, whoever Larry B, Larry B, 8th note. One thing we haven't even really looked at. Let's find something else. Let's go to, I don't know, let's go to Summer's Moon. So if we now go mode, the live mode, so if you hold that in,
yep,
it becomes a freeze function. So if I do the... and then it goes away. Or you can tap, you know, so depending on... Summer's Moon. And then, I mean, there's all these other presets. Oh, hang on, no, we're in live mode now. Preset, gotta go this. So you've got Bad-ish, Streets-ish. The U2 thing, Gilmore-ish, EVH Echoplex. I mean, all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
Bumblebee, Edge Power, more EVH. Hello Jungle. That's it. I'm not going to play, but like that sort of thing.
Yep. Or
Fix, more Summer, Ghost Dancing, Pride in the Edge, Andy's Breath. Let's Nile. What is that? Let's Dance, isn't it? That's it. That stuff.
Yeah, sick. Cool.
Anyway, there's tons of it. And then you've got expression pedal as well, and you can plug the expression pedal in and you can assign it to do different controls. I think it's those controls, and you can assign them to do those controls, and you can control it with the expression pedal. But I mean, in a nutshell, that's the difference engine. So it's 3 different types of delays. You can have it mono, stereo, stereo in, stereo out, all MIDI controllable, tons of expression pedal controlness ability. You have live mode or preset mode. In live mode, you have tap and a freeze function, and that's an on and off. In preset mode, you just go between the different presets.
I think it kind of lends itself to more classic delay sounds rather than being an ambient machine or anything like that. It's more of a
it's more of a
difference engine.
To me, it's more of like a utility delay.
Yeah,
you can get some really, and it's a pretty sounding delay. They're nice. The stereo image is great. So if you listen to this with headphones or the 2 iPhones on the toilet thing, you can. It's some nice stereo image.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mono in it as well, because I think it's mostly set up for mono guitar players. So I think some of the patches we went through, you'll notice that it'll all of a sudden just be mono. But I think it's a really good utility delay that gives you some really pretty sounds and interesting routing options.
But what do you guys think? Comments below. Do you dig the engine? And let us know your thoughts.
Is it an engine that makes a difference in any way to you?
To your life. Hey, links below also to Instagram, Facebook, and a podcast. Check those out if you got a second.
Please do.
And cheers for hanging.
Yeah, and big thank you once again to Laney Australia for sending this out to us.
Thanks. See you soon.